Welcome to Bid Nerds, everyone. Your daily nerd out on the most interesting car of the day. We are at it again on the Bid Nerds show. Welcome to my partner, Michael Deeb in San Francisco. My name is John Polnik. We are recording the show in the Container Park in downtown Las Vegas, like we do every day. All right, guys, what we do on this show, if you're new to the channel, we find the most interesting car of the day. We have a conversation about that car. We make a prediction, and then we reconcile our predictions with what actually happens at the end of the show, so you can play along. It's just like The Price is Right, only with cool enthusiast cars instead of stupid dishwashers. Sometimes the cars are kind of like dishwashers if we talk about a Tesla or something like that. Today, right? Today's car, I don't really think is that interesting. If I'm honest with you, Michael D, this is a weird pick for the most interesting car of the day, but it is on an interesting, it's interesting that it's on the platform that it's at. So let's talk about today's car. What do we got?
So today, John, we're looking at a 2011 Porsche Panamera Turbo on Cars and Bids, Doug DeMuro's site. Our 2011 Panamera Turbo has just 24,000 miles and is presented or offered in a hideous combination of aqua blue metallic with a cognac and cedar interior. And to make it just a little bit uglier, John, somebody ordered this car with red instrument dials across the dashboard, and it's got a wooden steering wheel. This thing gets the Fugly Award, and believe me, we know Porsches. What's really interesting, though, is that somebody took this ugly car, and it is specced out with all of the stuff to make it a great driver. This is a sport package car. It has sport chrono package. It has PDCC, adaptive air suspension with Porsche dynamic chassis control that includes torque vectoring. Of course, it has a sport exhaust system, Bose sound system, and carbon fiber illuminated door guards, yet mahogany yachting wood across the dashboard and the steering wheel. I mean, I swear, John, this car gets the Ray Charles Award for, like, who ordered this thing? It almost doesn't make sense. It's like somebody was messing around with the order guide and then ordered this car. Interesting car, JP. Probably a fantastic driver if you're colorblind. You know what I'm saying? Believe it or not, this car was about $163,000 brand new. It'll be really interesting to see what this car brings. You know, Panameras have been very soft in the marketplace and represent a really good value. This is arguably one of the best driving Panameras of its generation, considering how it's decked out. I forgot to mention it even has 21-inch 911 turbo style wheels. So this car handles and drives like a bat out of hell, but it is, you know, one of the tougher ones to look at, if I'm being perfectly honest. The blue is just a little too bright, and that beige interior, two-tone beige interior on the seats and the dashboard is really, really terrible. So I was just curious to see what was going to happen here, and I wanted to get your comments. You know, we never talk about these cars. We're hardcore Porsche enthusiasts, and while we love our air-cooled cars, we like a lot of the SUVs and cars that they make. But what's your take? Take it or leave it. Would you ever drive a Panamera Turbo, or is that a car you would, borrow from somebody to drive to the store and back, and then hand the car back because it's just not your bag? I've always found the cars to be ugly, but really fantastic drivers. If you get one of these cars, you resign yourself to a four-seater. They're not even like a typical sedan, but the styling is really tough to palate, and the colorway on this one makes it even worse. But the specification sheets means it's one of the most dynamic cars they've ever built. So where do you stand on the Panamera Turbo in aqua blue? Yay or nay?
Yeah, it is tough to look at in that colorway. That is really bad. But the thing is, I think a lot of people really like that blue. I've never been a fan of anything blue in general, but that tan interior with all this stuff with the red gauges, yeah, oof, good Lord. They drive unbelievably well. I mean, if you want a big saloon, if you want a big sedan, this is, they're so fantastic. I mean, they just depreciate so hardcore. This is the worst depreciating Porsche I think that you can possibly get.
True.
You said $160,000, and this thing's going to be way less than that. I guarantee you. I have considered getting one in the past. There's some functional things that I really like about them. That big, huge trunk. It's a hatchback basically. And a short guy like me, I could easily sleep back there. I have a Macan, which I really like. It's a smaller, shorter wheelbase, more nimble car. But like for what I do for a living, going out and doing shoots and stuff like that, I'm always taking stuff in and out of the back of that Macan, and I've had Cayennes in the past too. The tailgate's really high, but this thing's really low. So everything, I don't know why you would get a Cayenne over one of these, honestly. In a lot of ways, if you want a nice turbo, road driving car, you're going to be way more comfortable in this thing. Because unless you're one of the people that actually takes your Cayenne off road, it doesn't make sense. These things are the far better road car. The downside with them though is they are absurdly expensive to maintain. If you want to do an oil change, you got to take the whole bumper cover off.
The skinny.
If you've ever seen how back in the day you take the fender off of a car and underneath is just the chassis or whatever. On these, you take the fender off of the car and it's like electronic gizmos everywhere, everywhere, every spare. Too many computers. It's like being inside a submarine, right? Where they just have stuff in every available. There's so much tech going on into these stupid cars. And when you drive one in anger, you can feel all the machines kind of doing their thing. It's like the AI robot is taking over and trying to defy, gravity and that sort of thing. So I don't know. I love these cars. There's a black one in my parking garage parked right by my two black 911s. And it looks so spectacular. It's got, it's totally murdered out. And every time I see it, I'm like, maybe it makes me go, but then you see it, so if it's the right color and everything's perfect, maybe it's the car, but I don't know about this one. What do you think this car is going to sell for or not sell for? What do you think is going to happen with this car's auction?
I think it's going to sell. I think it's on the right platform, to be honest. I know we joke because we don't really see a lot of, first of all, we just don't see a lot of Panameras transact, but I think it's on the right platform. I think Doug DeMuro's the right guy to sell this car. I should also mention in 2011, every Panamera had a 7-speed dual clutch transmission. I think this is one of the first years that dual clutch was standard on the Panamera, and I think that makes the car really cool. Again, great driving car. But JP, all the money for this car would be like 60 grand. I think 50 is the value here on Doug DeMuro's site. It could stall out at 45 and still transact and be a good value. And if it does that, I'd say the colorway has a lot to do with it. But man, somebody ticked a lot of boxes when they ordered this car, hence the $163,000 MSRP. It's hard to swallow that like 10 years later, you could barely get 33% of the original value on this car at 50 grand. But that's where this car is going to land. I'm nearly sure of it. So I send it back to you at 50 grand. You're going to go over or under?
Yeah, I'm going under at 45. It's a Panamera. It's a blue Panamera with tan interior. I actually think if it had a black interior, it would get your number. But
I think so too.
That tan interior is just so bad. Or if it had a red interior or something interesting, but that sea of beige with the wood is just so freaking
red
hideous.
Gauges.
Who wants to be
5
in there?
red dials.
It's so bad. Look, I had a 997 C2S. It was a .1, and it was black on this same sand beige interior. It's so bad. And it had red gauges. And I thought they were so bad at first, but I kind of got used to them. And I was like, man, these are kind of cool after a while. I kind of liked them. I hated to say it, but with a blue exterior, no way. You just don't want to spend time in there. It's just, God, you got to look around. All right. What do you guys think? Now's the time to plug in your bids. Are we right? Are we wrong? Are we going to be right? Are we going to be wrong? Let's see if you're better at this than we are, and we will fire up the future machine, and let's go find out what actually happens with this car's auction right after this. Stick around. We'll be right back. Hey guys, I gotta tell you about our friends Godden Porsche of Las Vegas and Godden Classic. If you're looking for a new Porsche or a classic, you gotta call our friend Steve at Godden. This guy.
1989 linen gray metallic G50 cab.
Is that gonna be for sale?
It is gonna be for sale. The car only has 65,000 miles on it.
Save yourself the hassle of screwing around with all the auctions like we always talk about, and just talk to Steve. He'll find you the classic Porsche you're looking for. Godden Porsche of Las Vegas.
If you love watching car videos on YouTube, you gotta check out my channel, The Rami Show. Oh, this car! I am driving a 2020 Lamborghini SVJ. This car, watch this. Oh! 115 mile an hour turn like it's nothing.
We're back to the Bid Nerds here in the future. Thanks for hanging out, guys. Hit the subscribe, like, and notification button if you haven't done so already. Thanks again to all our fantastic subscribers and followers and folks that have been hanging out with us for a while now. We love you guys. All right. If you've stuck around this far, you're wondering what happened with this blue Panamera. I don't know. Tough to make the argument that this was the most interesting car of the day, Michael Deeb.
What are you talking about?
What's so interesting about this thing?
Look at this result. Look at this result. Okay, so Doug DeMuro on Cars and Bids had this 2011 Porsche Panamera Turbo with all the great suspension mods, but like a colorway that was clearly designed for Stevie Wonder with the blue and the tan and the wood and the red gauges. JP, I took the high road. No surprise. I said 50 grand is going to bring it home. You came underneath me at 45,000 bucks. Our car sold on Cars and Bids for $55,500 on 54 bids, the second highest bid total of the last week. That's all the money. That is a retail number. I mean, Mac at Godden is probably going, damn, they got all the money for that car. I'm just surprised. I know this is practically a $200,000 car when it was built, but that was 12, 13 years ago. I'm still shocked that this car could bring, like, the first gen ugly Panamera, even a turbo with the cool mods or the cool build spec, could bring that kind of money. That is a shocking number that, frankly, I'm surprised somebody would pay that much without getting a warranty to come with it. You know what I'm saying, John? That's a lot of money for this car. But anyway, there you go. $55,500 for one of the ugliest versions of the ugliest cars ever made,
Yeah, the Porsche Pacer, right? I mean, this thing is
totally
just goofy looking, and that colorway is just hurts the sensibilities. I don't know. I never understood why these were 200 grand in the first place. I like the new Panamera that exists.
I do. Yeah.
But I can't imagine I don't know who the person is that walks into the showroom floor over at our good friends at Godden Porsche and says, "Yep, I'm spending $200,000 on that, on any Panamera ever." I do not understand. They're really nice cars, but if you want a nice,
they drive great.
There's so many options. And these things in its used configuration, like you said, over 10 years old, way over 10 years old, these are expensive to operate. These things break, and they break big. They don't know, an old used car does not know how much it's worth. Right. The car doesn't care that it's only worth $50,000 now. When you take it to the shop, it still thinks it's a $200,000 car.
That's right.
And the repairs will be what you would expect for a $200,000 car. Yeah. I have seen the PDKs in these fail.
Oh.
And oh my gosh, what an amazing piece of engineering and tech to see that powertrain out of one of these. And oh my God, when you see one out of one of these that it's going to cost whoever owns the car or whoever might be warrantying it, if it's CarMax or something like that, that someone is stroking a huge, huge check. And because everyone knows how expensive these are to run, I don't understand why anyone buys one. I just, without a warranty, this is a boat anchor, man, if it breaks.
Financial roulette is what that car is. And so, really interesting. And look, we love them. They drive fantastic. They really are remarkable on the road. But you have to have a big wallet and no concerns to take one on. And it just seems a little silly and a little bit cavalier, especially in that colorway. Here's another example, John, of somebody paying a retail number for a used car in a soft market that has no chance of getting that number for the car when they're done with it ever again. Like, that car will never be worth that much money again, ever.
Do you think it has something to do with the fact that Doug got $37 million that week?
Why?
And
why would
maybe it just got more traffic to the site. That traffic that people look. That had to have the fact that $37 million was invested in cars and bids. And that was a headline, that was trending.
Sure.
Doug DeMuro said in one of his videos, the first time I've ever been trending ever in the 15 years that he's been doing car reviews. So here he is trending. That had to have brought some extra traffic to the site. And unlike BAT, there's not millions of cars for sale. So maybe some of that traffic that would not have otherwise gone there made a sale for the guy with the blue Panamera. No,
listen, it's a very valid argument, but my argument,
it's a
theory, my antithesis would be like that you could bring 100,000 more people to that lot. Why would somebody overpay for a car that doesn't justify it? And again, I thought 50, it only went $5,000 over, so we're only talking like a 10% margin here, but it just seems like it's a pretty high retail number for a car with great specification, but these cars are still so soft in the secondary market. You're never going to get that again. But your theory is pretty good, John. It does hold water. He probably did get a bunch more traffic, and that's why it happened. But God, it still doesn't seem like a justification for making a bad decision. And I would think, in my mind, John, I think the hard part, the hurdle I can't overcome emotionally, is that I still think Cars and Bids is a good place to get a deal.
Yeah, well, okay, but look, let's we're hanging out on this stupid Panamera for this.
I know, right?
As much as I'm not a fan of the way they look, I don't hate the way they look. I don't really think they're that ugly. And, having, these turbos are so awesome to drive. And if it is a car that you do like, compared to a brand new, if you walk into the showroom floor and buy a brand spanking new Panamera for $200,000 or whatever they are, give or take, on order, a turbo has got to be 200 plus, right?
Yep.
Okay, so let's just say 200, right?
Yep.
And you drive it for 11 years and only put 20,000 miles on it, you are doing way worse than the guy that just bought this for around 60. Yeah. And maybe he has to spend $20,000 on repairing it, and maybe it depreciates by another $30,000 over the course of the next 4 or 5 years. He's still doing way better than the guy that bought it in the first place, because the guy that bought it in the first place lost $150,000 on this thing. I'll take a $20,000 to $40,000 loss over a $150 any day. What do you guys think of that? That's always been the kind of trade-off. You buy one of these cars that's eaten up the depreciation curve. You're gonna have some additional costs, but it only has 25,000 miles. This is going to be, as far as these are concerned, probably a pretty good car. You drive it for 5 years, put another 50,000 miles on it, you'll have some high maintenance costs, but you're still not going to lose $150,000. Yet you get the same driving experience. I don't know. Yeah. Maybe it's not the worst thing in the world. What do you guys think? Let us know in the comments below. We sure love reading your comments. We try to respond to them. Sometimes we respond to them a little late. Michael Deeb over here never wants to talk to you guys. I think he hates all of you. I'm pretty sure that's what it is. He just doesn't.
Ridiculous.
Does all the responses. So we really do love you guys out there, and Deeb loves you too. So hit some. Let's get some comments down there, and maybe Michael Deeb will take some of his valuable time and come and respond to some of you. But we love seeing that. Thanks.
Bring the heat
for all of you guys watching the show regularly. Thanks to our sponsor, God and Porsche of Las Vegas. All right, guys, we'll see you tomorrow on the most interesting car of the day from all the automotive enthusiast auction sites. Bid Nerds. See you tomorrow. Bye.
Boo! Get those nerds!